All right, good afternoon. At this time, we're going to call to order a public hearing of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners on Monday, June the 7th, 2021 at 5:07 p.m. at the Franklin County High School Ag Center in Clarksville, Georgia. We just note for the record that we have a quorum consisting of 5 commissioners present. We want to welcome everyone and thank you for coming this afternoon. At this time, we're going to have an invocation given by the Reverend Berryman. Afterwards, we ask that you remain standing and join us in the pledge to the flag. So please stand.
We say good evening, good afternoon to each and everybody, and we thank you, Dr. Malcolm, for allowing us to come to pray with you, and certainly to all of your citizens of Franklin County. It's a pleasure to be here, and certainly to all the officials, and yes, present here today. Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we come to Thee as humble as we know how, realizing that You're the source and all of our hope. You're our strength right now. You told us in Your word to first seek ye the kingdom of God and all of His righteousness, and all of these things will be added unto us. Lord, we thank You for this opportunity. We thank You for what You have given us in this county. We thank You for our leadership. We thank You those who are taking the initiative to move this county in the right way for a future for our young people. And Lord, we thank You for all that You're doing. And certainly we thank You for the victories that You give us at just the right time. When we need them, Lord, You're there on time. You know what we need right now in our family, in our county, in our cities, and we believe and trusting in You that You're going to see us through. You said when we come together, touching and agreeing, well, Lord, You said that You will be in the midst. And I believe, oh Lord, that You are in the midst of us right now. And we just want to give You praise and give You honor. All the things that You have done for us and doing for us and shall do for us for this county. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, at this time we need to approve the agenda for this afternoon's public hearing. Commissioners, is there a motion to approve the public hearing agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Wester has made a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Is there a second to his motion?
I second.
Thank you. Commissioner Franklin has seconded the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the agenda as presented, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. The motion will carry 4-0, and the agenda is approved as presented. The purpose of this afternoon's public hearing is to receive public comments for or against proposed zoning applications that will be considered for action by the board at tonight's regular board meeting that will immediately follow this hearing. No action will be taken at this hearing, and all parties are welcome to remain after the public hearing for the regular meeting itself. We have 2 applicants on the agenda for this hearing, one of which has withdrawn. After introducing each application, the planning director will come and present a description of the application as well as his recommendation and the recommendations of the Planning and Zoning Commission. We'll ask the applicant, if present, to come forward and speak first on behalf of their application, and then after they've spoken, we'll call first for those who want to speak in favor of the application. Then we'll call for anyone wishing to speak against the application. Members of the public that wish to comment either for or against an application will be called individually. When you came in the door, we took requests for those who wanted to speak. If you did not sign up, that's okay. There'll be a portion where we call. If anybody else wants to come up, they can. When you come up, you need to give your name and address to the clerk who's sitting over here. When you come up to the podium, if you're wearing a mask and you feel comfortable, please take your mask off while speaking so that you can be heard clearly, and please speak directly into the microphone. Each person will have up to 5 minutes to speak. The clerk will use a timer that's visible to the speaker so that you will know how much time you have remaining. Questions may not be asked, and speakers may not yield unused time to another person. Members of the public are required to follow the same rules of decorum as each commissioner. This includes using civil, respectful discourse and avoiding personal attacks. All comments should be directed to the chair, and members of the audience may not comment or interrupt when someone else is speaking. At the end of the public comments for each application, the applicant will have an opportunity to make a summary statement and offer rebuttal concerning the proposed application, and commissioners may also question the applicant at this time. We're very thankful to the school system, the high school, for allowing us to use the Ag Center tonight. Please help us by keeping the facilities clean and in good order. Just want to say, everyone here tonight deserves to be heard. You deserve to be heard, but so does the person who may disagree with you. And more importantly, everyone deserves to be able to hear what others are saying. This building has issues with sound and acoustics. It will echo and magnify sound, so please help us facilitate a fair and impartial hearing tonight by being courteous to others. We ask each person speaking to take care to observe the 5-minute time limit. This limit will be strictly enforced. Members of the public are not permitted to interrupt while others are speaking, and we respectfully ask that you refrain from side conversations while others are speaking. Interrupting, talking over others, or jeering is not permitted at any time. Before we begin, just a couple of other housekeeping items. Bathrooms are available to the right. Most of you are probably familiar. Please be as quiet as possible if you need to get up and then return to your seat so as not to distract others. Please, we ask that you silence your cell phones and keep any conversation to a minimum. At the end of this hearing, we will adjourn briefly and announce the time that we'll restart the regular meeting. So the first item for discussion this afternoon is a rezone request, and this is from Andrew Plyler of 950 Glenwood Drive, Gainesville, Georgia, has filed an application to rezone from agriculture intensive to residential single family, a 13.33 acre tract of land located at 10622 Highway 59, further identified as tax parcel 044-071C, 044-071D, and 044-071B. At this time, we're going to have our planning director, Mr. Delosier, to come forward and summarize this application. Mr. Delosier.
Evening, gentlemen. So, as you stated, Mr. Plyler has applied for a rezone along with a preliminary plat approval for an 11-lot subdivision. It will require a rezone from ag intensive to residential single family. The closest address, which would be actually lot 1 on that preliminary plat, is 10622 Highway 59. Currently, the layout of this subdivision, it meets all county regulations. The location of this subdivision makes sense. It's located, pretty centrally between City of Carnesville, City of Livonia. It's got good access to I-85, and it's right up the road from Carnesville Elementary School. My recommendation is to approve this subdivision, this rezoning, and this preliminary plat, with the condition that the applicant commits to building traditional stick-built homes. I know there is some concern about a mobile home on one of those lots right now, but I'm going to let the applicant speak on the plan with that. The Planning Commission's recommendation was to table it. However, we have had further discussion. We did just pass a new subdivision and development ordinance, and I think after talking with the Planning Commission more, they're comfortable with the fact that the concerns that were addressed are actually addressed in our subdivision ordinance. So he will not be allowed to develop this subdivision without following our county's adopted subdivision development ordinance. So that is my recommendation. That is the Planning Commission's recommendation. Any further questions? If not, I'll turn it over to Mr. Plyler.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Delosier. This time we're going to ask the applicant, Mr. Plyler, to come forward and speak on behalf of his application. Mr. Plyler.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Mr. Plyler, can you put the microphone closer to your
how's it? Okay. Thank you very much for your service. I am in good company here. I attended previous planning commission meeting and joined you and offered my professional advice on a licensed appraiser in support of your opposition to the rendering plan. I'm very impressed with the unity of this country environment, and I hope that I can find a nice place. My development, gentlemen.
Hold it a little closer to your, thank you.
That's good, thank you.
Okay. My development is located on Highway 59, just a short distance south of where the cable TV towers are. And that road is where Mr. Aubrey Lunsford has a development that's just been paved. It's very similar to mine. He has his first two homes framed there. Being a real estate appraiser and meeting Mr. Lunsford and having his invitation to do so, I visited his subdivision several times. I also measured one of his first homes to calculate the square footage. It's about in line with what I proposed to build in my development if it was approved. The home that I measured has a measured 1,620 square feet approximately. Has an attached garage, a covered porch on the rear, and a covered porch on the front on a 1 acre lot. This past week, understanding that there was concern because originally I had applied for and obtained permit to put a manufactured home on this land. My daughter and her family will reside there while we're doing the development. She currently lives in Elbert County. She has two small children who I don't see enough of. And it's a long way from exit 160 to Bowman. It's 27 miles. So she was my motivation to come up and visit. I went out and explored Elbert County and decided I would purchase land in Franklin County. The location of this tract of land is very strategic. I have a 40-plus year appraisal career. I've done many appraisals for proposed developments. When you have a development that is within 1 mile of an elementary school, you have one of the most essential and beneficial attributes to enhance the environment for young families to raise their children. And my two grandchildren are 1.5 and 5. So my little granddaughter hopefully will be attending Hartsville Elementary in her first year. I have a copy of the floor plan of the new manufactured home that has been set up on the site. I'll hand it to you if you'd like to see it.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
It's a new Berkshire 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. I can relocate my daughter's family there. Her husband is an equipment operator, and he will be beneficial to help watch the construction and development until I get relocated up to Franklin County. I sent you guys by email a little market analysis using my appraisal methods with a grid of some of the most recent new home sales that I can find in the Georgia MLS system. It shows a sales price per square foot that varies over a range of about $200,000 to 260 or so. And that's what I'm going to target, from $199 to $259 for the home prices. All of these homes are on slabs. no basements. Now, I might try to do a basement or home or two, depending on how the market receives. Do you have any questions for me?
We'll do that at the end.
Okay.
Okay. Is that all you have for this at this time?
That's about sums it up.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fowler.
Yes, sir.
All right, at this time, we're going to call one at a time for those who wish first to speak in favor of Mr. Fowler's application. We just ask, please remember as you come to the to the podium, give your name and address before you begin, and the clerk will set a timer. And this is true whether you're speaking for or against, but give your name and address first. No one signed up to speak for, so is there anyone here who would like to speak in favor of Mr. Fowler's application? If so, please raise your hand to be recognized. Come on up, man.
My name is Dana Kiernan. I live at 379 Barrett Drive, Toccoa. I'm at the other end of 320 from here. I am for Mr. Fowler building his single-family homes here simply because we need it. There's more people going to be moving to our area with the new businesses that are coming, and I'm just thankful that we have someone that's willing to build some nice homes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there another who would like to speak in favor of Mr. Fowler's application? Please raise your hand. Anyone who would like to speak in favor? Okay. At this time, we're going to ask for those who would like to speak against. And we had people sign up, so I'm going to call you one at a time. And then when we're done with that, if there are others who would like to speak, we'll give an opportunity. So first up would be Mr. Eric Seegers. Mr. Seegers.
My name is Eric Seegers, 1234 Beatty Road, Martin, Georgia. Not really sure that I'm in opposition to Mr. Fowler. One reason that I put my name down was because we had another applicant to be heard tonight, which supposedly has been withdrawn. Just wanted to stress the importance that you as the commissioners, that I understand we have a moratorium now.
We really can't take any comments on that particular application. This has to be strictly for Mr. Fowler. I'm sorry.
Well, did Mr. Fowler and the others' growth in the county, we're not familiar as the citizens of what these subdivision rules are. It's been laid out. I've been involved in public safety for almost 30 years. So as the county continues to grow and we head to the housing market, we need to go ahead and put the emphasis on proper hydrants, drives, and stuff like that to increase the safety of our public personnel who volunteer their time to come. Take note, the more you ask for growth, the more it's going to cost for services. So we have a top-notch volunteer service in this county, but all it costs the county is what SPLOST money comes in. I work for one of the fourth largest departments in the state, 350-something personnel, and I'm very familiar with subdivision growth, that without these proper procedures being in place ahead of time, when this growth comes, it's going to bite us in the butt later on. So I'd like to place an emphasis on to make sure that the county's not incurring the cost of these, like water mains, hydrants. That needs to be passed to these people who want to build this growth. Let them incur it. That's not our need for the county as taxpayers to incur that cost. Same way with all the roads and stuff like that that need to meet DOT approval. Same way with the entrances and everything on state highways. So, like I say, I'm not really in opposition to Mr. Powell. I think there's a lot of considerations that need to be made before the county really sets into this growth stage. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Seegers. Okay, next is Ms. Lisa Sewell. Ms. Sewell.
Lisa Sewell, 10492 Highway 59, Livonia, Georgia. Gentlemen, thank you for serving our county. Appreciate you. Just know that many of the citizens in this county have been praying for all of you, and just hope that a lot of prayer continues to go into the decisions that you make. Sorry. I do have some questions for Mr. Fowler that I'm not sure if they were answered or not, so I'll just read them all. You had said there would be that there is a subdivision ordinance.
You can't really ask questions. I mean, you can ask them for us to consider.
I don't want the
Okay.
answers, I'm just
All
want
right.
to say these questions to make sure that they've been
Okay.
thought about. So some of these may already be in that, is what I was just gonna say, may already be. But will there be a requirement in writing that the homes will be stick-built? What types of materials will be used, external materials? Landscaping, common areas, curbing, sidewalks, drainage. Will there be something in writing that this community will not become a mobile home community, since that's what it's started out looking like? Is the housing built to suit, or will a model template be used? Will the homes have garages? You did answer that one, yes. Is there any federal or special financing involved? Have the PERC test results been presented to the board? Who is the builder? Is he licensed in the state of Georgia? What other projects has this builder done and when? Who is the developer? What other projects has this developer done and when? Can a fire truck or a school bus turn around in the cul-de-sac? Where will the retention pond be located as per state code? On the plat it shows 11 lots, but it doesn't show the retention pond. Has a tree study been done? What is the tree replacement plan? How many trees will be saved? Or will the land be clear cut? So that's my questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, next, Mr. Boyd Sewell.
Boyd Sewell, 10492 Highway 59, Livonia. Come up here in opposition to this proposal. This land in this area is farmland, agricultural land. It's most everyone that lives in this area lives in a very nice home on acreage. The subdivision will be a new thing to this area, so to speak. And starting the subdivision out, saying you're going to build stick-built homes, but the first thing you do is to install a mobile home in the very front of it, is a little bit unusual, to say the least. We don't want a mobile home community or mobile home development right there beside us. We do not want that. If this gentleman wants to build nice stick-built homes, quality homes, then, that would probably be something else we need to talk about. He started out in a different manner. He started out putting a mobile home there to begin with, cleared a little small area of trees out. It's just kind of hard to understand the way he started. I've got a multitude of questions to ask. Is there a license? My wife asked some of them, is there a licensed builder if he plans to build these homes here? Who is the builder? Who's going to be the builder? They have to be licensed. Who designed this? Or were they licensed? Has the land even been surveyed? I don't think there's even any survey markers out. What size homes are to be built? What's the approximate square footage? What's the approximate price range? Especially in accordance with the way building construction materials are going up daily almost, astronomically. What price range will they be built? What style will they be? I mean, a lot of these questions were asked in the planning and zoning meeting, and that's why they tabled it, because he did not have the answers at that time. And I don't even really understand why we're here tonight if he has the answer to them in the planning and zoning meeting. But I don't really, I guess that's another question. But if he intends to build, is everything in writing? It's going to be in writing. He will build stick-built homes and not continue to put mobile homes in this subdivision on these lots the way he started out doing. Is the road going to be an area of egress where the fire trucks and school buses can come in and out? I'm sure there's going to be school children in there. They're going to have to bring a bus in and out of there. Will the roads be curved? I know they're going to be at the county standards, I'm sure, Scott, but will the roads be curved and drainage appropriate for what they're going to need to be a subdivision? Will there be a retention pond? We want quality growth, like I said before. We want nice homes and nice areas in this county. I think we deserve that. I just think he needs to provide these details to us tonight. If y'all are going to make a vote on it, I mean, just saying that you talked to planning and zoning and they checked off boxes or whatever, it's not really appropriate because they tabled this thing, formally tabled it. And I don't, like I said, I don't really understand why we're here discussing it. It seems like to me to go back before the planning and zoning and either get an approval or denial, one or the other, before we even go forward with it. So, thank y'all for serving. Thank you for listening to me tonight. And I just think we can do better than this. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sewell. Next is Alan Mitchell. Mr. Mitchell.
Good evening. My name's Alan Mitchell, 376 Beatty Road in Martin, Georgia. Just a few weeks ago, I met before the Planning and Zoning and then before the Board of Commissioners to ask for a variance to build a stack house. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that was the procedure in Franklin County. I wasn't asking to have my zoning changed, only for a setback variance with a letter from a neighbor giving me his best wishes to build with no opposition. It passed Planning and Zoning, and it passed the Board of Commissioners, and I appreciate that. Mr. Plyer is asking for a rezoning that was tabled by the Planning and Zoning, but yet why is this coming before the Board of Commissioners without a recommendation from the Planning and Zoning? Why would we treat one property owner different than another? You see, I'm not asking for special treatment, only that everyone be treated equally and fairly. If it's okay for Mr. Plyer not to be recommended by Planning and Zoning, what is the precedent that is going to be set? What's to keep another property owner or an industry, for instance, Pilgrim's Pride, from bringing a zoning request changed before the Board of Commissioners without going through Planning and Zoning? You see, I own two sides of the property in question with Mr. Plyer. I'm a poultry, cattle, and row crop farmer. This is my livelihood. This is how I provide for my family. I don't feel it is right for me to tell Mr. Plyer what he can do with his property, but it's not right for a subdivision to limit what I can do with my property. This is how I provide for my family. Because there is a church on the front side of the property, if a poultry farm were to be considered, it would have to be tucked away on the back side, out of sight, and to meet the setbacks. If a subdivision is built, it would prohibit this option for me. I also have plans to have a commodity shed there on this property and wean and preconditioned calves right next to the property in question. Do y'all have any idea how loud 100 fresh weaned calves can be bawling all night and all day? I don't know if Mr. Plyer knows that or not, but I just don't want some unsuspecting family to buy a house next to a feedlot and wonder what on earth is going on every time I wean a group of calves. We also use poultry litter to fertilize our ground. And all I'm saying is that I want to make it public that this land adjacent to the proposed subdivision is ag intensive, and that sights, sounds, and smells that go along with that will be there. If in fact y'all do approve Mr. Plyer's request to rezone and build a subdivision, I would ask that y'all stipulate that there are stick-built houses and not pre-manufactured homes. Along with the subdivision, I'd like to make another comment about the growth that appears to be at our doorstep. With each subdivision that is approved in Franklin County comes other factors to be considered, such as educational support for kids, fire, EMS, sheriff department, water, sewer, and traffic, to name a few things. Has there ever been a cost benefit or impact analysis done on any of the pending subdivisions or apartment complexes that are proposed in our county to truly understand the effects on our county? If not, I would really encourage that from our leadership to really look into the cost benefit analysis, impact analysis, all that kind of stuff. From the eyes of an elected BOE member, the potential to overload the Franklin County educational system is a real concern. We as a board are forced so many times to be reactive due to state funding, and we want to be as good a steward with property taxes, but with assessments going up over the past few years, and the trend is that we are getting less and less from equalization funds from the state. So in short, to meet budget needs, we have to rely more on property taxes. Rooftops and more students go hand in hand, but the property tax from rooftops, whether they have kids or not, don't they don't come anywhere close to covering the cost of their education. We as a community need to come together to discuss these issues. I'm not against growth, please don't misunderstand me, but I am for controlled growth. We all here in Franklin County, we're all with the same family. Even though we're living in different houses, we need to take care of each other. I thank y'all very much for your support and your service.
Thank you, Mr. Bishop. Those are the only individuals who signed up to speak. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak in opposition to Mr. Plyler? Anyone else who would like to speak in opposition to Mr. Plyler? Raise your hand. Come on up. Remember, start off with your name and address.
Terry Robertson, 64 Mountain View Drive, Livonia, Georgia. This county is a young county that's fixing to explode. We need to have a lot more rules and regulations in place before we start with large subdivisions, okay? Number one, we need to be determined that subdivision is not going to be a mobile home park. Our tax base cannot support mobile home parks for what our school fees has become, okay? And I think our tax commissioner would agree with me on that. We need to have impact fees put in place for development. I have developed all over the United States, and there have been multitudes of different county impact fees that I've had to pay. We need to make sure that it's state approved, that the state has signed off on all his plats. We need to make sure that his water and infrastructure is designated. We do not need to bear the burden to come put water in somebody else's back door. These are the things that I've had to deal with all my life, and I want to look out for this county. I want to see it grow. We need housing, but we need it in the right way. And we need to have a moratorium on mobile homes, because we cannot continue stick-built home owners bearing this load of taxes for schools. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Robertson. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in opposition to Mr. Plyler's application? Please raise your hand. Anyone? Okay, at this time we'll ask the applicant to come forward again, and this is his opportunity to offer summary statement and rebuttal, and then afterwards commissioners may have questions for Mr. Plyler. Mr. Plyler.
Thank you, sir. As I said, I was very active in the appraisal profession. I began my career with First Federal Savings and Loans in Atlanta, and appraised hundreds of homes, hundreds of subdivision development. Of course, there's a cost associated with new homes, but if you're talking about how that cost is carried, it is carried most effectively when new people come in and pick up and take a part of the load. All utilities are available to this tract of land, right on Highway 59, except for sewer. It has water, adequate sized water availability. It has electric power from Hart EMC. It even has high-speed internet from the cable TV right up Highway 59. When children go to the elementary school, they'll go each year, they'll get a year older, and one day they'll grow up and they will go to college or move off and get married. There needs to be some more new children to pick up and carry the school and support the school so that the quality of the education continues to improve. Growth is not a bad thing. When I testified against the rendering plan, I gave as my qualifications my experience, not just my appraisal experience. I told my brothers and sisters here, I grew up on a dirt road chicken farm in North Carolina. We had a Purina contract. We almost lost our farm with that contract. Later on, when I was in my teens, 16 to 17 years old, I would dress 100 chickens on Saturday for Drum Supermarket, 25 cents a piece. I know what chicken tastes like. I know what it smells like. We had hogs. What we did was the heads and guts and feet feed it to the two rock hogs. Now, if folks buy a home in my subdivision and you're next to a pasture with cows, what we call that in the appraisal profession is a pastoral setting. It's what we would rather have next to us. So, as far as the survey goes, if you look at the plat, I know you folks can't see it, but you guys have a copy of it. The road that comes into it follows.
Mr. Fowler, will you?
Follows
sorry.
exactly. I'm sorry. The layout that was submitted and approved by Franklin County by the original owner of her purchased this property for. In addition, she subdivided this site into 4 lots. One of these lots has been sold, and the lady has put her culvert in right next to me. That is a buffer between my property and the Jehovah's Witness church. I assume she's going to start construction on her home pretty soon. I'm going to do stick-built homes only. This is a new manufactured home. You heard some folks mention what materials costs are right now. Well, costs of development and grading and all other aspects of doing a development are up as well. I checked yesterday, a sheet of OSB that sold for $8 last year is $47. And that's what, 600% increase. I know all materials are not that much. Mr. Lunsford, I know the lady asked what type of exterior I'm going to do. I want to do fiber cement. You can't find fiber cement right now. My supplier told me last week he's had an order in since last November, hasn't had any delivered since last November. Remind me of some of the other questions I need to answer.
I think go ahead and finish, and then we'll let each commissioner. We've written some of those down. We'll ask those.
Should I stand right here?
Yes, sir. All right. So this time we're going to do questions from commissioners. We'll start with Commissioner Wester and just go across since we're sharing microphones.
I actually have a couple of questions pertaining to what Mr. Mitchell had to say. Are you going to make a notice to whoever you're selling the homes to that they are butting up against ag-intensive land due to the fact that there will be odors, there will be sounds and everything that they will run into?
Sir, like I say, this is something that is preferred. Even people who buy homes in, say, Forsyth County. I used to live in Forsyth County. I still own an office building there. The ideal place for a home to be is adjacent to the neighbor next door who kept his 20-acre farm, as opposed to backing up to another home.
And while I agree with that, we have had members of this county come in front of us with noise issues, smell issues, because they moved in here from elsewhere, and they did not feel that they should have to deal with that. That's why I want to know if that is something you consider, because that's not going to come back to you. That's going to come back to this board.
Well, I don't want you to have extra trouble or extra work, but in my 45-year career, I've only run into one property that had a condition given by the zoning commission to notify any purchaser of a home there of an adjacent element that may become nuisance. And that was incoming for Hamilton, I believe, development off Georgia Highway 400. It was next to a mine where they blasted.
Well, I'm not asking for this board to make it a mandatory thing. I was just asking out of common courtesy to anybody moving into this area that they do understand that that's what they will be living beside.
Mr. Delozer has a comment about
Yeah, I
that.
can address that. In our zoning ordinance right now, in the ag extension zoning, there is a notice of adjacency that is required in our zoning ordinances for any, something like that, this exact case, for when he rezones for residential type development, it will be part of the deed work. There'll be a note on the plat so that all homeowners buying these homes in this development will see that notice of adjacency to ag intensive land. So it is already required from our zoning ordinance.
Okay, thank you.
And that is fine with me.
And my next question is, who will be doing the building, and are they a licensed contractor?
I'll, of course, have licensed contractors for general construction or any other phase of construction. It may be that I sell lots to licensed builders. I really don't know. I have gotten out of the development business a few years ago. I'm 78 years old. I did my last development in Gwinnett County in 1986. I did a small subdivision called Carolina Pines. And that a lady told me that she was trying to find that. Well, it was purchased by Corporate Lakes and made a part of Corporate Lakes Industrial Park. Just up the road on Purcell Road, I did a small industrial park about the same size as our industrial park here in Carnesville. It's called Corporate Ridge. It's built out with quality commercial industrial line in a fantastic location. I hadn't planned to go back into the development business, but in trying to get closer to my grandchildren, I looked at the property because my daughter wanted to stay in the country. She grew up in Forsyth County and coming and just got the business. I looked over in Elbert County and it was just too far from the world. And I convinced her that if I could find a good tract over in Franklin County, that she would be willing to come on over. She and her family will live in this manufactured home, and after we get a reasonable percentage of homes finished in there, we kept the wheels and the axles on the site. We'll relocate it.
Will you put that in, will you stipulate that in writing to the county?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Westbrook.
Do me a favor and keep in mind this is my daughter's family home. I don't want to run into a bad. We could have a bad market with the rest of the country looking at some of the crazy things we've been seeing, and I might have to hang on for a couple of years. So I'd like to not be in a painted in the corner.
In your application, you stated something that when 60% of the lots were sold, that you would move it.
That's what I emailed you last week.
Okay, Commissioner Westbrook, do you have more? Okay, Commissioner Swells.
I don't have my hearing aid.
All right. And this is also for our planning director. Has Mr. Plyler gotten you the information you needed, the planning and zoning, as you all have required it throughout the process?
Everything that's been required from us, he has provided. At this point, if we get through our subdivision regulations, take over and require us to do road correction, cul-de-sac correction, utilities, all that is governed in our subdivision development.
Will you come up and share the mic with him? I'm not sure everybody can hear you. Thank you.
What does that sound?
All right, so the question was, has he provided everything that we've asked for him to provide?
We're not asking anything other than outside of what we normally would.
Correct.
He provided the information as he's been able to.
Absolutely, he has, and like I said, I think all of these concerns are addressed either in our zoning ordinance or in our development ordinance, as far as roads, utilities, lot size, perk test, septic tank, all that
all that's covered in that 174-page subdivision ordinance that is available online for anybody to view if they're interested in it.
And I do know the updated ordinances are, if anything, stricter than they've been in the past.
Much stricter.
So his development will not only meet but exceed what is currently in place.
Absolutely.
Um,
I think of 174 pages, of it, 50 of it's just roads alone. Another 30 is utilities. So, I mean,
for those that weren't able to sit in on the planning zoning meeting,
Right.
what was the main reason? Did they give a reason for tabling it at that time?
honestly, there was a lot that I was dealing with the sound. Their concern was some of the same concerns y'all are raising right now. They were so used to the development ordinance not being in place. I think that they kind of overlooked the fact that 30 days ago we had just adopted this new subdivision regulation. So this will be the first subdivision built to the new regulations. I have talked to each one of them. I've called every single one of them since the last meeting and kind of explained and talked through it, and everyone agreed. Yeah, they have no problem with my recommendation to approve it. I'm not saying that that's their recommendation, but they said that they're not going to push back on my recommendation to approve it.
With the location of this specific development, I know we have a general characterization map that we've been utilizing. Actually, it was pointed out from this past Pilgrims project that Pilgrims didn't necessarily meet what they determined as light industry for that location. This location here, is that as a projected area for growth?
It's classified as rural, and it does. There is provision for growth along any rural area of the county.
That's okay. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Foster, do you have questions?
And I got a couple. And this makes comment be able to answer this. So you'll pay for all the utilities, the water to be ran down the subdivision. You don't have the proper amount of hydrants in there. Okay.
Yes, sir. And these sewer tap fees and connection fees, it's like the gentleman previously we commented on. These add to the support that the citizens are paying from their property taxes. And this will add substantially to the property tax income of the county, this development.
Okay. And my other questions were answered by the other guys.
Okay, Commissioner Frank. I'm sorry.
Can I have one more, or do I need to come back to me? Will there be any type of HOA determining what type of home is built, or that it meets similar characteristics to other homes?
You're talking about covenants, yes, sir.
There will be.
Will that be submitted as part of the development plan?
Absolutely, and recorded in the county record.
Is that?
If he chooses to, and it's going to,
So our requirements for a HOA or a POA is mainly determined by your soil and erosion control issues. So if there's a detention pond, if there's erosion easement ditches, stuff like that, then we require a HOA or a POA so that those erosion control pieces are maintained through that HOA fund. We do not necessarily require an HOA for all subdivisions. It's really, once you have, I think GSWCC, state requirements for soil and erosion control issues. That's what triggers us to require it. Now, if he has covenants that he chooses to put on it in addition to what we have, it will be dictated on the plat and in the deed, but we won't necessarily require that until he's finished with.
Is that a possible condition that we can add to approval?
You can. It's rarely done. There are reasons for and against doing that. I have seen zoning conditions to incorporate the draft condition declaration covenants into the zoning conditions. So if he's at the point where he's got those or he knows what they're going to look like, it could be done.
So that's not really something we have tonight, so, okay.
I mean, it's hard to incorporate that without knowing the specifics of what the covenants are.
Right. Okay, thank you, Mr. Samuels. Okay, Commissioner Franklin? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Foster has another question.
You just mentioned retention pond. Does this not require, is there not enough land there for a retention pond? Or is that, I've seen the other ones we've approved have retention ponds.
Right, well, so once we give him permission to proceed with this development, he'll have to get a grading plan. He'll have to submit to EPD his soil and erosion control plan. It'll have to be engineered. It'll have to have, a whole lot of work done before they determine where the detention ponds would be. That's something that we don't require at this point in the game. Basically, once we say yes, we're going to approve you to do this development, then that triggers all those state regulations, other county regulations, and so forth. So it's too early in the game to know if there is any, but if there is any, that's we would know about it before he started moving any dirt, essentially.
This plat could really change.
It potentially could, and if it does, it triggers a resubmission of a plat approval through the Board of Commissioners.
I have one question, and it's for everybody that's going to buy a home in that place. Is somebody going to watch the grading? We've got a subdivision in this county where the developer and the grader buried stumps. Now those people that live there is faced with that. Are we going to be watching, or somebody going to be watching the grading and make sure that there's no trees, no stumps buried in this street going to them?
Yeah, absolutely. The Public Works Department will be overseeing the entire road, the entire build of the road. That they watch the grading of the road, the installation of the road. They do compaction tests on the base, sub-base, the asphalt once it's laid. I know exactly which subdivision you're talking about. I used to live in that subdivision, so I know what you're talking about. But we didn't have to get these requirements in place at that time.
We need something. I don't care if it's 20, 30 years to come back on these developers that do people that way. That's about as crooked a thing as you could do. You buy a nice home, there's a nice road going to it, and then all of a sudden you could bury a school bus in the hole.
Well, and
who wants to live there?
In our new subdivision regulations, it does require performance and maintenance bonds on the road. So it'll be a minimum of 2 years maintenance bond that the developer has to hold. We hold that bond for the developer, and after 2 years, we'll go back through and reevaluate that road after we've adopted it and said, okay, 2 years is the generally accepted timeline that if something's going to happen to a road, it's going to at least start showing up at that point in time. And if after that 2 year mark there's some issue, then we cash in that bond, we fix that road with the developer's money, and then we proceed. So there is protection against that now.
Any other questions, Commissioner Franklin?
I have one more.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman. Going back to the soil and water erosion and everything plan, will we receive copies as a county of this?
It'll be on
that is done.
Once he submits those, it'll be part of his development application packet, whatever we call it. So we will keep copies of all that on file. Thank you.
One more.
Good.
Maybe a question for Bubba too, but as far as the planning and zoning, do they need to actually recommend this, or can we go?
So the way I understand it, the planning and zoning is a recommending body only. They recommended to table it. That was their recommendation. Okay. So no, it does not need to go back to planning and zoning.
All right. I just wanted to ask a few that were raised, and this is for Mr. Plyler. Is any part of these homes in any way, shape, form, or fashion going to be subsidized as far as from new owners? This is just outright purchase, single family home.
They'll be outright purchase. Now there are various types of financing that are available in the market. FHA. I'm still a VA appraiser. Good financing, low interest rates, making young families able to purchase homes that they wouldn't be able to buy otherwise.
Another question that was asked was, and I saw a reference to this in your application as far as a tree study. How are you going to clear cut the property, or are you going to leave trees? Tell us your plans.
My goal is to save hardwoods on each lot. The problem that we ran into when we found this property, it's been left in timber for as long as anybody can remember. My neighbor, who's lived there for 43 years, said that the pine trees have been infested with pine beetles. He told the two previous owners to me that was going on. Eventually the pine beetles killed the pine trees fell, and in the open space that let more sun in, there's a lot of young ground cover and young tree growth. So it's densely populated. Consequently, the trees have reached high, fighting each other to get to the sun, and some of them are very tall and thin. When you clear anything around trees like that, you could be creating a hazard. So we may have to take trees down because of that.
Okay. And you have, correct, you submitted a letter, and is that binding that says development will only be stick-built houses, no mobile homes?
Well, I'd be happy to do it if it's a letter or whatever.
You have submitted one, correct?
Actually, in my presentation to you, I added that email I sent to you. That becomes a part of my application.
Is that the case, Mr. Delozer?
I mean, he submitted that letter committing to it. I don't know exactly how legally bonding it is, but
can that be a condition?
If we add that as a condition, then it becomes
exactly. You can make it a condition, and if you agree to that being a condition,
I do.
Okay. And these houses, as they're built, because they're probably not all going to be built one at a time, do they have to be individually permitted as they're built for inspection?
each one.
So if something happens and this development is sold and somebody else chooses to build there, we can still have control over whether or not mobile homes are put there? Okay. All right, that's all the questions I have. Commissioners, do you have other questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Fowler. You may be seated.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your service. Thank you, citizens. You did a good job.
Thank you. The second item for discussion was a conditional use permit request and 2 rezone requests submitted by Catherine Zickert, the authorized agent for Pilgrim's Pride Corporation at 1230 Peachtree Street, Suite 3100, Atlanta, Georgia 30309. And the county received notice in writing on Thursday, June the 3rd, 2021, that all 3 applications have been withdrawn. So at this time, without objection, we are going to adjourn the public hearing. It is 6:05. We're going to give everybody time to go to the restroom. We're going to reconvene the regular meeting at 6:15. So we stand adjourned. All right, at this time, we're going to call to order the regular board meeting of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners on Monday, June the 7th, 2021 at about 6:15 p.m. at the Franklin County High School Ag Center in Carnesville, Georgia. And we note again for the record that we have a quorum consisting of all 5 commissioners present for tonight's meeting. And again, I think everybody's been here, but welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. At this time, we need to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting, and we have 4 amendments that we need to add to the agenda. And these are item 5E, healthcare plans, item 5F, coroner's office, item 5G, land development fee schedule, and item 5H, public comment. So is there a motion at this time to approve tonight's regular board meeting agenda with the stated amendments?
I'd like to make a motion that we update the agenda to include these categories.
Thank you. Commissioner Swells has made a motion to approve tonight's agenda with the additions item 5E, healthcare plan, item 5F, coroner's office, item 5G, land development fee schedule, and item 5H, public comment. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Wester has seconded the motion. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of the motion to approve tonight's agenda with the addition of those items signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion will carry 4-0, and the agenda is approved as amended. The next item on the agenda is the personnel report. So at this time, I'll ask our county manager, Mr. Turner, to come and give the board a personnel report.
Good evening. Just a couple things to report. We have concluded our search for county marshal and actually have hired the county marshal, Mr. Freddie Akins. His first day was actually today. So we will bring him to the work session of this month for introduction to the citizens and to the board. One more that we do have is we did hire a staff accountant, Gabriella Aguiar. Recently graduated from Emmanuel College, and again, we will bring her to the work session at the end of the month for introduction to the citizens and the board.
All right, thank you, Mr. Turner. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the following prior meeting minutes. Public hearing on May the 3rd, 2021. Regular board meeting on May the 3rd, 2021. Budget hearing on May the 20th, 2021. Budget hearing on May the 25th, 2021, and a work session on May the 25th, 2021. All the commissioners have been provided with a copy of the draft minutes for these prior meetings. Do any of you know of any corrections that need to be made? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the prior meeting minutes as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the prior meeting minutes
As presented.
Thank you. Commissioner Foster has made a motion to approve the prior meeting minutes as presented. Is there a second to the motion?
I second.
Thank you. Commissioner Franklin has seconded the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the prior meeting minutes as presented signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. The motion will carry 4-0, and the prior meeting minutes are approved as presented. The next item on the agenda are number 5, items for discussion. 5A, a rezone request. The first item for discussion is the rezone request by Andrew Plyler of 950 Glenwood Drive, Gainesville, Georgia. He's filed an application to rezone from agriculture intensive to residential single family a 13.33 acre tract of land located at 10622 Highway 59, further identified as tax parcel 044-071C, 044-071D, and 044-071B. At this time, our planning director, Mr. Delozier, is going to come forward and summarize that again, and the commissioners may have questions for him.
So again, gentlemen, Mr. Plyler has applied to rezone 13.33 acres from ag intensive to residential single family for the purpose of developing an 11 lot subdivision. It is located in tax parcel 044-071B, C, and D. As stated earlier, my recommendation is to approve with the condition that the applicant commits to building traditional stick-built houses. The Planning Commission's recommendation was to table it. I think we've had time for questions already, so I don't feel as if I need to summarize any more than that. If y'all have any further questions, feel free to ask.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Delozier. Commissioners, do you have questions? Commissioner Weston? Commissioner Swells? Commissioner Foster? Commissioner Franklin? Okay. And I just want to clarify, are we going to be asked to vote just on the rezone or to approve the plat or both?
It would be a rezoning and then a preliminary plat approval.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, at this time, is there a motion to act on the application by Andrew Plyler to rezone 13.33 acres of land at 10622 Highway 59 from ag intensive to residential single family?
Mr. Chairman, with regard to additional information kind of coming up during the process, as well as planning and zoning, I know y'all have been very, very, very busy. We're at a situation where I feel like it would be best to send this back to planning and zoning so that they consider it with all the facts and let them make a recommendation based on the updated information.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Swells has made a motion to refer Mr. Plyler's application back to planning and zoning. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Commissioner Foster has seconded the motion. Is there any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of the motion to refer Mr. Plyler's application back to planning and zoning, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. The motion will carry 4-0, and Mr. Plyler's application is referred back to planning and zoning for reconsideration. Thank you, Commissioner. The next item on the agenda is a conditional use permit request or application and 2 rezone applications by Catherine Zickert, authorized agent for Pilgrim's Pride Corporation, 1230 Peachtree Street, Suite 3100, Atlanta, Georgia, 30309. The county received written notification on Thursday, June the 3rd, 2021, that all 3 applications have been withdrawn. So there will be no action on that item. The next item for discussion is board appointments. As a point of information, we have 1 vacancy on the Planning and Zoning Commission that we'll consider for appointment in the July regular board meeting. Currently, we're receiving applications. This vacancy, I believe, is created by outgoing member Gary Hall. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. There are 2 vacancies coming up on the Department of Family and Children's Services Board and DFACS. The DFACS board has recommended to us to reappoint each of the 2 current members as they are both willing to continue to serve. The 2 appointees whose terms are expiring are Andrea Doster Smith and Kenneth N. Dove. We do have some additional information on Mrs. Smith's application. We were notified that her appointment actually expired last summer, and the DFACS board did not take action or refer that back to us because of the COVID-19 public health crisis. So if we reappoint Mrs. Smith, I think we would make her appointment retroactive to last July 20th. And then her term would expire on June the 30th, 2024. So this time, is there a motion to retroactively reappoint Andrea Doster Smith to the DFACS board to succeed herself, term beginning July 1st, 2020 and ending June the 30th, 2024?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Wester has made the motion to retroactively reappoint Ms. Smith. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Thank you. Commissioner Foster has seconded the motion. Is there any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of the motion to retroactively reappoint Andrea Doster Smith to the DFACS board to succeed herself, term beginning July 1st, 2020 and ending June the 30th, 2024, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. The motion will carry 4-0, and Ms. Smith is retroactively reappointed to the DFACS board. And again, her term began July 1st, 2020 and will end June the 30th, 2024. At this time, is there a motion to reappoint Kenneth N. Dove to the DFACS board to succeed himself? His term would begin July 1st, 2021 and would end June the 30th, 2025.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Swells has made the motion to reappoint Mr. Dove to the DFACS board. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Franklin has seconded the motion. Is there any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of the motion to reappoint Kenneth N. Dove to the DFACS board, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. The motion will carry 4-0, and Kenneth N. Dove is reappointed to the DFACS board to succeed himself, term to begin July 1st, 2021 and end June 30th, 2025. The next item, D, is the county manager's report, so we're going to turn this over to Mr. Turner to report out to the board on several items.
As far as the county manager's report, report, only main thing that I have to report on is we have been requesting citizen assistance for litter. So we have received a call from a citizen, Ms. Beverly Folsom, that's interested in helping spearhead that programming. We're still working to connect with her just so that we can sit down and discuss what the details of that are, but I think this would be something great for the county and an opportunity for us to get some citizen involvement and really trying to help keep Franklin beautiful.
Okay, any questions, commissioners? Tell us again, what was her name?
Miss Beverly Folsom.
Folsom, okay, all right.
And that's everything I have.
That's everything? All right, thank you, commissioners. Do y'all have any questions about that? Okay, we'll move to the next item, which is 5E, healthcare plans. This is the healthcare plan insurance for county employees for the upcoming year. And so Mr. Turner is going to describe those proposed plan offerings for us to approve.
So what you have in front of you today is just the detail. We're up for renewal, of course, every year. What we're looking to do this year is we're looking to stick with Cigna. We do always have opportunity within our renewals to look at changing plans and look at the differences in those plans and what the offerings are. We felt like it was best for us this year to try to maintain some pretty good consistency for the staff by sticking with Cigna. They originally requested an 18% on their renewal, which would have been somewhere in the ballpark of about $250,000, $250,000. We were able to negotiate them down to about 6.1%. So that's about industry standard, usually somewhere in the ballpark of 6% to 8% is your normal increases year over year with healthcare plans. That 6.1% translates to about $80,000. So we were able to, I think, get a relatively good rate. The thing that we need to look at is our long-term planning as far as healthcare for the staff, is trying to just see if we can come up with a plan that's going to more lock us in 2 to 3 years at a time instead of a one year over 1 year type of renewal, if that's a possibility. We'll take our renewal numbers from our broker this year and start to put together some numbers of what are the possibilities, whether it be us being freestanding, self-supporting ourselves within that, or if we're going to look to just still continue to bid that out and look at different options. There are other options like ACCG that are out there with the city county managers. Just some things that we can do to try to give some good consistency while getting better rates for the staff.
If we do lock in, say, for 2 to 3 years, does that generally protect us from wild increases from year to year? Is that kind of like a contract?
It can somewhat protect us. There might still be some circumstances with the way that our claims are typically. I'd probably say we are still at some risk of increase. With looking at our claim history currently, I would say most providers probably wouldn't be geared towards giving us a locked-in rate long-term, more than likely, because we are high on our claims. But if we can work with staff to help, increase our health overall, if staff will work to increase their health, and we get ourselves into a position where we don't have as many of those large claims, then I think we'd be in a better position to negotiate that. But I think as long as we're working towards those goals and working through Cigna and any of those wellness benefits we have, that's something that we can really build ourselves up to in these next couple of years.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Turner. Commissioners, we discussed this prior, and you've had time to kind of think about that. Do you have questions for Mr. Turner? Any additional questions? Okay. At this time, is there a motion to approve the employee health care plan offerings that the county manager has proposed for the upcoming year?
I'll make a motion that we approve the current health care plan that as presented to us by our county manager.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Wester's made a motion to approve the recommendation by the county manager for next year's health care plan offerings. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Swales has seconded the motion. Is there any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve county manager's recommendations for next year's employee health care offerings, please signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. The motion will carry 4-0, and the county manager's proposed health care employee offerings are approved. So the next item is the coroner's office, and so we'll turn that back over to Mr. Turner as well.
All right, so originally last year, the board did approve construction for the coroner's office that's in Livonia. That quote was approved, approximately about $45,000 and some change. It did not include things like the plumbing and some electrical work that was going to be done. So what we are asking is that the board approve the new and final number that we have in front of us of $56,857 even. You have that quote in front of you of what the total invoice of completed work is.
And that's over a 4-year period?
And this is going to be leased to us on a 4-year period, so over 48 months. What we'll do upon approval of this number is we'll go back to the city of Livonia to work out the lease agreement, what that number is over 48 months, approximately about $1,200 a month.
Okay, thank you. Do y'all have any questions, commissioners? Okay, what we would need to consider is a motion to approve the total cost of $56,857 for the coroner's office leasing and to authorize the county manager to enter into a 48-month lease. So do we have that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Foster is making the motion that we approve the total cost of $56,857 and we authorize the county manager to enter into a 48-month lease with the city of Livonia. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Wester has seconded the motion. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the total cost, $56,857 for the coroner's office lease and to authorize the county manager to enter into a 48-month lease with the city of Livonia, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. The motion will carry 4-0, and that total cost is approved as well as authorizing the county manager to enter into that lease with the city of Livonia.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Turner. At our May 3rd, 2021 meeting, the board adopted the new subdivision and land development ordinance. And so tonight, we have before us the fee schedule for this ordinance to adopt by resolution. So at this time, I'm going to ask our planning director, Mr. Delosier, to come forward and review that with us.
Yes, so before y'all have the copy of the proposed fee schedule to go along with the subdivision and development ordinance. It will only apply to subdivisions and developments, so I want to make that clear, and it is intended to offset the administrative costs of subdivision and development applications that are presented to us. Again, anybody that wants to develop in Franklin County, it should not be on Franklin County to front any of those costs, and that's what this fee schedule is designed to offset any costs that might be incurred upon Franklin County. So it is my recommendation to adopt the fee schedule as presented. Any questions?
Commissioners? Okay, thank you, Mr. Delosier. This time, is there a motion to accept the planning director's recommendation to adopt the resolution with the proposed fee schedule that's attached to the land development ordinance?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Franklin has made the motion to adopt this resolution and attached fee schedule. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Commissioner Foster has seconded the motion. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to adopt the resolution with the proposed fee schedule for the land development ordinance signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. The motion will carry 4-0, and this resolution with the proposed fee schedule attached for the land development ordinance is adopted. All right, the next item on the agenda is 5H, public comment. I know we went over this before, but we may have some new visitors. At this time, we're going to open the meeting for public comment. During this portion of the meeting, any member of the public may speak on any topic of concern they would like to address to the board. Because the board has not had time to prepare for questions and topics that we may get, this is mainly a comment section. If you have questions the board can't answer tonight or the time doesn't permit, we're going to ask that you write those down along with your contact information and give them to the clerk, and someone will contact you in the coming days to try to answer your questions. When you come up to the podium, please begin by giving your name and address to the clerk. In order to facilitate the meeting and allow everyone an opportunity to speak, each person must limit their comments to 5 minutes or less. Each person may speak once, and you may not yield unused time to another person. Our clerk has a timer on display so that you see how much remaining time you have left. Members of the public are required to follow the same rules of decorum that each of the commissioners must follow. This means respectful civil discourse and avoiding any personal attacks. All comments should be addressed to the chair, and members of the public may not interrupt or make additional comments while someone else is speaking. So at this time, if anyone has a public comment, please raise your hand to be recognized, and we'll have you come up. Remember, name and address first. Mr. Martin. And our clerk has the timer over there. I don't know if you can see it. She'll...
2656 Braves Lake Road, Washington. I have copies of my comments in case I run out of time before I get through with them, so I can give those to you.
You can. Thank you.
There's an old saying that if you don't study history, you're doomed to repeat it. And so what I want to do is walk through how the Pilgrim Pride of Franklin County story unfolded. The beginning of Pilgrim Pride story is captured in the IBA minutes of May 11, 2020, when Tanya Powers stated, quote, "New state project, Project Cardinal, will update us the project progresses," end quote. In the IBA minutes of September 14, 2020, it was noted, quote, "Executive Director Tanya Powers discussed progression with Project Cardinal. This will be discussed in executive session," end quote. Note that Ms. Powers' title is sometimes noted as Executive Director of the IBA and other times as Director of Economic Development, which is it. In a call Zoom meeting in the IBA on September 18, 2020, the minutes state a motion by John Hilton, quote, "A motion made by John Hilton was made to enter into executive session to discuss real estate," end quote. After the executive session was adjourned, the minutes state, quote, "A motion was made by Harris Little at Franklin County Industrial Building Authority, make the motion for the Economic Development Director, Chairman of the Board, and Legal Counsel to submit an application along with the documents needed for rezoning for economic development that can be transferred to a potential purchaser for the future development within the Industrial Building Authority powers," end quote. The motion passed with a call vote of 5 yes, 1 no. In the September 24, 2020 Franklin County Citizen Leader, an article titled "County Asked to this is a quote, "County asked to rezone land for potential industry," end quote. It was revealed that the IBA tried to get rezoning done before the public knew what industry was coming. In the IBA minutes of February 8, 2021, something had changed, and it was noted that, quote, "Powers informed the board that the timeline for Project Cardinal had changed. She said she would contact the board the next day with the information," end quote. Then on February 25th, 2021, we all found out what was happening behind the scenes with the Franklin County Citizen Leader. Front page, 2-story headlines, "Pilgrim's Progress," and state officials celebrate announcement. The IBA did not do an adequate, if at all, job of due diligence discovering all the many legal and environmental issues with Pilgrim before chasing after them. It is a disgrace to have an IBA with a majority made up of 5 town mayors to represent only an estimated 35% of the county's population as a detriment to the interest of the majority 65% of the county's unincorporated population. The membership representation of the IBA should match the county's population distribution, and the IBA should be accountable to someone, possibly the Board of Commissioners. The IBA apparently operates as a covert, unaccountable organization, and it must be reconfigured. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Anyone who would like to make a comment, please raise your hand. Mr. Seegers, come on.
Eric Seegers, 1224 Beatty Road, Martin, Georgia. My apologies for earlier because I didn't know how this was going to take place tonight. My concern was we have a moratorium now for this industrial growth in the county. And we all know, as citizens of this county, how close this potential thing for Pilgrim was to be in our backyard. I commend you, the board, for putting this moratorium in place. But let's do some more homework. Don't feel bashful if you feel that this thing needs to be extended to protect the interests of this county and the citizens. Is it y'all's piece of paper that says you are why you're here because of us? Well, if you had attended any of the zoning meetings and the independent meetings that was conducted, you'd have seen the voice of this county. And I'm pretty sure you all got pretty good emails and text messages that took up a lot of your time. I appreciate each one of you responding to those and listening to the voice of the county. I had concerns with IBA as well. It seems that we was all snowblowed by this county, what was going on. Big emphasis placed on the due diligence. And anything in government that takes place, due diligence has to happen. And this did not take place. If it was, we would have got to the point where we was at. So I have to agree with Mr. Martin that I don't know what type of legislation or what kind of procedures we need to go through in the county, but this county has got to have more representation on this IBA. With the percentages of 35 and 65, just the numbers don't work out. And the cities is the one, when all this growth takes place, that is pushing these industries. They're the one going to benefit. The county's not going to be the one that benefits, because just like Pilgrim's try to do, they always want to extend Royston's gas lines, and that's going to benefit the city of Royston. We should have been fair, offered the same gas services or whatever, took it out to bid. The city of Decoy may have been a better situation than the city of Royston. But of course, we have jurisdiction boundaries on utilities, so we need to take that into consideration when these other industries are coming in. They may be a provider outside of the county that can do the same service. It's not going to request somebody to pay for it. So Pilgrims would have had Royston over the gun, as you would say, because they would have invested $8 million in that gas line, and we would have never heard the end of that. So these big industries want to come in, they've got the money. So I think that the IBA, we need to really look at the infrastructure of it, how it's set up, with the percentage of the county tax base of my income, my property tax that goes to pay for this thing. That needs to be put back to a vote. So whatever you as the commissioners need to do to get this thing on the ballot, to get it removed the way it was placed on, it needs to happen. And I think I speak for most of the people of the county on that. With the county being mostly agricultural and agriculture intensive, as we see in our land use, somebody needs to, on that IBA board or some representation, needs to be involved with the ag community. Because we could have probably found a better industry that would support the agricultural sector of this county versus one like Pilgrim's Pride was trying to introduce to us. Like I say, that's my concern. I appreciate your time and what you do, and have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Sears. Anyone else who would like to make a comment, please raise your hand. Come on up.
Polly Walker, Royston, Georgia. Hey y'all, good to see y'all, smiling faces. There's a lot of smiling faces out here too. I just want to first say, praise God that this is hopefully over with. That's one good thing. And I'm thankful for all of y'all. I think I know which way you were leaning. I hope so. But anyway, just wanted to let y'all know Slowater and the Walker family appreciates everyone that signed my personal petition. I got close to 1,000 names. I haven't actually finished counting them up, but I am saving them, y'all, just in case I got to come back up here. But I'm going to kind of keep up with things a little bit, and I like that smile on your faces, and I like people smile back in there too. And I'm not an agitator or whatever, but I am going to stay up to stuff, okay? I'm going to keep up with y'all. And I think we all want to keep up with y'all, because, you know, y'all are the ones that can help take care of all this mess that prevent it from coming into us. You know, we want to grow, but we want to grow in the right way. We want to kind of keep our small county feel, but yet, you know, it wouldn't hurt to have some good industry. You know, I don't know what it is, but the Lord's going to provide it. Okay? Thank y'all so much.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Watson. Is there anyone else who would like to make a public comment? Please raise your hand. Anyone? Come Come up, Ms. Sewell.
Lisa Sewell, 10492 Highway 59, Livonia, Georgia. I said part of this earlier, but I had to leave out the part about pilgrims, so I just thought I'd come back up and reiterate what I was saying. But thank you all for your service. We appreciate you. But many of God's children in Franklin County have been praying for each of you. God Almighty gets the credit for and the honor and glory for Pilgrim's petition being pulled. My prayer is that each of you continue to ask God's guidance and wisdom for any and all decisions that you have to make concerning the growth and advancement of Franklin County. We need growth. We need it to be quality growth, not just quantity. Growth that will enhance the quality of life for us, all the citizens of this great county. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sewell. Anyone else who would like to make a public comment? Come up, Mr.
Boyd Sewell, 10492 Highway 59 in Livonia. I spoke at the work session y'all had a week or two ago about the IBA, and I put it forth to you as planting a seed. It's springtime in Franklin County, and farmers are out working every day in the fields, and we're planting things and cutting hay and doing things. We need to plant this seed about the IBA. The IBA needs to be reconfigured. It was set up in the 1960s. At that time, there was one county commissioner, and things were much different in the 1960s than they are today. It's time that we form a study group and we think seriously about who needs to be on the IBA. This is a serious matter. We've gone through the GRP plant, and y'all had all those headaches already about all that, trying to solve and keep people in that area from having so much noise and pollution. It's just a terrible thing, really. And now we got past this Pilgrim's Pride thing, hopefully, and we need to be prepared again. We need people on the IBA board that really know what's going on. When I asked the chairman of the IBA board if that was a light industry, considered a light industrial project, he didn't even know. Let's be honest with you, he didn't know. He had to email the other person, whatever she called herself, economic developer. Then she emailed him back, and he emailed me back. We need people that know about industry on the IBA board. The chairman of the commissioners needs to be on the IBA board, like Hart County is. Hart County has the chairman of the commissioners on there, has the president of the Chamber of Commerce on there. And like Mr. Seeger said, we need somebody for agriculture on there too, somebody who knows Franklin County and what's going on in this county. There's a lot of smart people in this county. We need people on there prepared. We need to be prepared now, because this county's going to grow. We're not going to be able to stop it. It's on the way. It's coming up Interstate 85, and that is what they consider the Gateway Corridor, where in your very good 2019 comprehensive plan, which I think is a gem. It's a good thing. But we need to really seriously, right now, before this next legislature, get with our state representative, get with our state senator, Bo Hatchett, and we need to get this thing reconfigured to where we have proper representation in unincorporated Franklin County. Because unincorporated Franklin County makes up 65 to 70% of our population, and we have 2 members on that board for unincorporated Franklin County. That's just not right. I'm sorry. That is just not right. We got a member of the board as a mayor of a city with 599 people, but unincorporated Franklin County makes up 65% and only has 2 members. Guys, we need help on that. So I thank you for your service. I thank you for what you've done through all this process, the Pilgrim's process. I know it's been an extremely difficult situation, but I thank y'all very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Anyone else have a public comment? Please come up.
Terry Robertson, 64 Mountain View Drive, Livonia, Georgia. Ladies and gentlemen, I think the industrial board has put y'all in a real bad situation. I think I've contacted our state representatives. I'm trying to get all the literature, how we can change the industrial board. I think that's something y'all could help this county tremendously. When you're dealing with, under backdoor meetings, this sort of thing that was going on for this number of years, that's not what I think people of Franklin County deserve. I don't think that makes up the people of Franklin County. We're pretty much trustworthy and good people. But it's kind of put a black eye on us that this happened. We missed the bullet this time, but I think that the industrial board, it just needs to be regrouped and they take another look at it. And I thank y'all for y'all's service. I'm sorry y'all had to go through this, but I hope we have learned a great deal about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Is there anyone else who would like to make a public comment? Anyone who would like to make a comment? Okay. Hearing no more, we'll move on to the next item, which is announcements. Mr. Turner, do you have any announcements? None? Okay. Just to let everyone know, the board is going to have a third budget hearing on Friday, June the 18th, 2021, starting at 6 o'clock p.m. over at the Justice Center. And this will be followed by a special call meeting that same evening, and we'll make announcements about that when we get closer. The board will have a work session on Tuesday, June the 29th, 2021 at 6 p.m. at the Justice Center. Our regular board meeting for July would normally be on Monday, July the 5th, but because some board members may be out of town for the holiday, we rescheduled this meeting in July for Monday, July the 12th. That'll be the following Monday. We want to thank our county office staff, particularly our clerk, Kayla Finger, who's absent tonight, Ashley Dodd, who filled in, Scott Delozer, our planning director, our county manager, Derek Turner, and all of our staff members who helped set up this meeting. This was promised to be one of the biggest meetings we've ever had, and it didn't quite turn out that way, and that's okay, but it did take a lot of effort to get things right, and the sound is 100% better tonight. So we appreciate that very much. And we also, the sheriff has helped us in the past too. They usually send somebody to our meetings, so we appreciate that. Commissioner Franklin, do you have any announcements? Commissioner Foster?
I don't know.
Commissioner Swells? And Commissioner Westbrook? Okay, thank you. At this time, is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Westbrook has made a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Commissioner Foster has made a second to the motion. All in favor of the motion to adjourn, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. The motion will carry 4-0, and we stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone.